Hi, this is Wes Kusmal again with an answer to the question, how does the personal information ownership infrastructure portion of the authenticity infrastructure keep a universal identity credential from being tracked? For our solution, let's be inspired by Donna. Donna is the CEO of a rapidly growing company in an exciting field. She's the kind of person that journalists love to write about and analysts love to follow around. Now it happens that Donna's company is about to buy Albert Ailey's company. For the deal to go smoothly, the two need to meet to discuss Albert's role in the merged company. If word of such a meeting got out to analysts and journalists and investors, Donna or Albert might be accused of deliberately leaking the news to their friends. That could mean big trouble. As a matter of diligence, not deception, Donna and Albert need to cover their tracks. So Donna chooses an obscure restaurant in an undistinguished part of town for the meeting. But there's still a problem. Every business journal and analyst in town knows Donna's bright red Ferrari, rides in which they insist have nothing to do with their favorable coverage. Whatever, the Ferrari does make Donna eminently trackable. So Donna drives to the lunch appointment in a gray Chevy Malibu from Ready Rentals, leaving the Ferrari in the garage. The smokescreen seems to work, but unbeknownst to Donna, a sharp-eyed reporter sees someone who looks like her driving that Malibu out of the Ready Rentals lot. The journalist pulls into Ready Rentals and asks the manager, "Please tell me to whom you just rented the Chevy with license plate XYZ123. Of course, the Ready Rentals response very properly is, "That's none of your business." It's their legal obligation to keep that information confidential. On the other hand, if an investigator from the SEC presented a court order requesting that same information, Ready Rentals would disclose it, because that also is their legal obligation. So Donna and Albert's lunch meeting is productive. They agree on a role for Albert in the merged company. More importantly, news of the acquisition is released properly, so that all potential investors learn of it at the same time, preventing suspicions of insider-influenced trades. Now let's apply that lesson in driver anonymity to the other highway, the information highway. The rental credential is part of the personal information ownership infrastructure. A particular rental credential is bound to your underlying foundational identity certificate for a short period of time and then is released for someone else's use. The personal information ownership infrastructure includes other means of obscuring information about you, while at the same time giving relying parties the assurance that you are accountable for your actions while using it. So let's look at an example of accountable anonymity in social networking. When your daughter signs up for an indoor chat room or social network space, her computer will be asked for a certificate. If it were a human dialogue, which it isn't, it would go like this. Chat room, please sign this file with the key that goes with a digital certificate that shows, with a specific degree of reliability, the user's age and gender. Daughter's computer, I can present a certificate that attests with the requested specific degree of reliability that the holder is a real person and that the certificate has not been revoked. Chat room, that's not good enough. Daughter's computer, shall I ask my user if he or she will permit disclosure of age and gender? Chat room, please do. Daughter's computer, please sign my owner's personal NDA. The pen of the chat room's manager or signing officer signs the NDA. Chat room, here you go. Daughter's computer, speaking to the daughter this time. The chat room has requested age and gender and has signed your personal NDA. Shall I disclose it? Yes or no? Daughter signs yes. Sure. Chat room, welcome. Please choose a username. Sounds cumbersome, doesn't it? But complicated dialogues like this take place between your computer and servers all the time. All your daughter has to see or deal with is that last question. The chat room has requested age and gender and has signed your personal NDA. Shall I disclose? Yes or no? Or she may have seen this additional message. This certificate attests to an online enrollment procedure. we require a certificate that attests to a face-to-face enrollment. To proceed, please either make an appointment with an enrollment officer or have an official from your school department with an identity quality score of at least 35 sign an attestation of your identity assertion. And that makes sense, doesn't it? A reliable attestation of gender and age must involve a face-to-face session. Either that or an attestation from an accountable person in a position of authority who knows the subject, a school administrator, for example. Identity quality means different things to different relying parties. For example, someone relying on an identity certificate used in a large financial transaction would be more concerned about whether the certificate carries bonding against fraud and would not need to know the age of the subject. Only necessary information is disclosed, and only under NDA and license. With the personal information ownership infrastructure, the only piece of information that is disclosed by default is this. This computer or phone is under the control of a real human being who presents an unrevoked digital certificate. Nothing else. But somewhere, someone has to attest to the assertion that there is a real person behind the digital certificate. And that something has to know, in this case, age and gender. In the physical world, that something would be the issuer of the girl's birth certificate. Let's say it's the Vital Records Department in the city of her birth. The Vital Records Department is the authoritative source of certain unchanging information about this person. The Vital Records Department represents public authority and is trusted to disclose that information only to entitled parties and only under certain circumstances. Typically, that party is the subject of the certificate, and the circumstance is an authenticated request. But the requester may also be a police department, and the request may come in the form of a court order. Should it be otherwise? Well, do we trust the police and the courts? That should lead to another question. Which police and which courts? In the physical world, the Vital Records Department can be a unit of a national government, sometimes a not-so-trustworthy national government. If there is to be accountability, then someone must attest to the truth of assertions, such as the assertion of elements of identity. At the same time, there has to be a way to ensure that the certification authority itself strictly adheres to regulations covering disclosure. It's called putting all the identity eggs in one basket. The personal information ownership infrastructure and the authenticity infrastructure of which it is part allow us to effectively watch the basket. Remember, our City Hall and its Vital Records Department have nothing to do with any existing government or physical jurisdiction. Your second home, your online residence, is in a community that consists of people who have chosen to have the benefit of authenticity. Who governs City Hall? You do. Because, remember, it's your municipality. If you're a resident, you own it. Who watches the identity basket? You do. You and your neighbors, particularly those neighbors who serve on the city's Certification Practices Commission. The authenticity infrastructure, part of the quiet enjoyment infrastructure, gives us an identity credential that can be used at a variety of sites. Such a system of universal credentials is called single sign-on. Let's take a look at a popular single sign-on system that your Osmio credential happens to support, and let's see how they work together. Click on the link to the video entitled One Username and One Password for Everything.